Hello, people.
Hello, everyone.
Yay.
Welcome to Tea and Teachings
Woo.
episode number 3 already.
Tres.
We're
Yep.
so excited. So, today we want to have an identity conversation and really just talking about even what your identity is,
Mhm.
how it influences your behaviors, whether it is, sabotaging behaviors that you're engaging in. You find yourself constantly repeating certain things that are making you frustrated, procrastination, self sabotage with food, going to bed later, whatever it is, that is influenced by your identity. So that's why we're going to have that conversation. And then, is your identity actually even yours? And do you even
Mhm.
know who you are? Because that's really what your identity is. So we're going to have a full conversation on identity today. So do you want me to kick it off or do you want to kick it off?
Uh, well, I mean, I think I just want to add one more thing to that. I think a lot of times we live in a world that has a lot of filters, and so we work with a lot of mentors, a lot of coaches, and we take on a lot of information. But when we're saying yes to that information, we don't necessarily know that we're also saying yes to their identity or that identity of that person. So we start working with people, whether it's mentors, coaches, we start hiring professionals, maybe it's even people in your team at work. Regardless of what it is, you are unconsciously taking on their identities, and then at some point that identity doesn't become your own, which is why we want to talk about that separation. Because Lorna and I have gone through, a pretty long journey, and through that journey, there have been a lot of identities that we've adopted, a lot of things that in the beginning we thought this is who we were, and then we realized that like our identities have the ability to be able to grow and shift, and that's really where this conversation's coming from.
Yeah. I see a lot of people trying to change their behaviors, right? Like when you think about um, any self sabotaging behavior that you're engaging in, again, whether it is like maybe you're late for things, or maybe you're always feeling overwhelmed all the time, or you're sabotaging with food, or you're getting angry with your partner. A lot of the times people just try to make these like promises to themselves of like, I'm going to go to bed earlier, I'm not going to have the cookies, I'm going to be more patient, I'm going to be more calm. But unless you actually change the way that you are seeing yourself, your behaviors aren't going to change. And behavior change is actually not effective if you still have an identity that is not serving you. And so, a lot of the times when people are frustrated with, again, engaging in these self-sabotaging behaviors, they always think like there must be something wrong with me, like I'm just not disciplined enough, or I'm not motivated enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how come other people can wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym? How come other people can have a great relationship with their partner, a successful business, whatever it is? Like, maybe I need to just like work harder, I got to put in more effort, I got to show up more. But unless you actually change the way that you're seeing yourself, those behaviors will still continue.
That's goopy, by the way.
Your behaviors will still stay the same. So, the first shift that I would even say is you have to know how you're seeing yourself. Like, if you were to ask yourself, I know it's such a weird question, but like, who am I? What would you actually say? Do you actually know who you are, like deep down at your core? Or when
Yeah, you gotta
when
eat, little gooby.
when you say to yourself, like when you think about like who you are, do you
Mm-hmm.
often say like, oh, I'm a procrastinator, oh, I'm an overthinker, um I'm so judgmental on myself, I'm so negative? Is that how you're seeing yourself? Because the words that you tell yourself and how you see yourself influences your behaviors, right? So again, if you are telling yourself like this is this is going to be fun. If you tell yourself like, I'm always an overthinker, I overthink everything, When a decision is presented to you, you have to make a decision. You are not going to make a decision fast. You are going to take a long time. Why? Because you're telling yourself, this is who I am. I am an overthinker. When you are, let's say, wanting to make healthier food choices, but you constantly say to yourself, I'm not consistent. I've gained so much weight. I'm not happy with my body. I'm just laughing right now because Andrew's trying to like entertain me. um, if you say to yourself, like, I've gained so much weight, I'm not happy in my body, I've always sabotaged with food, then what ends up happening is even if you're feeling good in your body for a week or you are making these healthy food choices, you're literally going to sabotage yourself because you say to yourself, this isn't who I am. You're holding on to the identity that I'm not consistent. I'm a self-sabotager. That's who I am. That's your behaviors are filtered through that lens and that identity of how you're seeing yourself.
There's also a second piece of identity which people confuse identity with something that you do, which is titles. There's a lot of people who become obsessed or they become heavily connected to the titles that they have. The title of mom, the title of CEO, the title of business owner, of like, I'm the best in my team. And so the moment we start and we latch on to that title, what ends up happening is we start taking on the traits and the personalities of whatever exists in that title. And this is where it's like, well, if I'm a mom, that means I have to sacrifice everything and I have to put myself last. If I'm the top performer at work, that means that I have to do the most overtime and I have to push away from my family. And all of these things are not technically your identity. These are things that you do. So it's not who you are, it's actually something that you do. Mom is a role you play, CEO is a role you play. And just like we all have different roles in our lives, like great example of Lorna and I, there are times where, again, like right now, we're playing the role of partners. We play the role of course, parents to Dominus. And at any time when we switch into something, we can then switch into that role. But that role is not the identity. So when Lorna asked the question of like who you are outside of these things, this is where the second question comes into play, where it's like if you were to take away the role, take away the title of mom, take away the position that you have in your job, remove all of these things, what is left? Because what is left is your identity.
Yeah.
Right? What is left is hard worker, is dedicated, is loving, is caring. All of these things are things that form who you are and that actually help influence the way you're making decisions and the way you're operating in your life. But a lot of times we will just simply continue to switch the title instead of actually looking into changing the identity. And this is where there's a trap with identity work where a lot of people will keep, you know, Lorna talked about changing the habits, changing the routines. You start changing the way you're living your life, and nothing actually changes. You feel there's still the same amount of resistance. You need the same amount of motivation. You're going through the same struggles over and over again. It's because the thing that hasn't switched is the operating system underneath, which is the identity that you're working from.
I think what's really powerful is like at any given point in time, you can change the way that you're seeing yourself. And, you know, this is not like I always say, this is not like a fake it till you make it, but this is rather like, who do I want to be? Like, what are my standards? What are my habits? How do I want to respond to my partner? How do I want to show up as a parent? How do I want to show up with my habits and routines? And when you're really clear on the type of person that you want to be, then you can show up as that version of you every single day. And so it's not about let's just change the behaviors. Again, who do you want to be known as? Like, get really crystal clear on that person, on that identity. How would she or he think? How would she or he behave? What are her habits? What are her routines or his routines? And then you can literally start showing up as that version of yourself every single day. And then that's how you become that person that you're actually proud of. It's not the opposite of like, I need to be her And then I'm going to start engaging in behaviors that would reflect this version, but it's rather I'm going to engage in behaviors. I'm going to think like this person. I'm going to act like this person. And then
I'm gonna hold him. I think that's the best way.
and then the result, or you can put him on his back.
Yeah.
He's like just so happy that we're going to go be holding him. So once you really engage in those habits, engage in those behaviors that that person would engage in, that's how you actually become her. You know, you often, you know, we always talk about like, you don't need evidence. You need to take action, and then the evidence is going to be created. And it's really the same thing for here. You don't have to believe you are that person. You have to act and be that person every single day in actually order to become that person.
Now, in a lot of people, there exists a wanting where it's like, I want to change. I want to shift my identity. I want to feel all of these things. And wanting is great, but there's an act of when you're making a decision and wanting to change things, that there's a level of commitment. And this is where, and it was interesting because Lorna and I were having this conversation yesterday. Changing your identity is not just like you declare, oh, I'm this different person, and then that's it. Sometimes people make a decision, and then in that moment, they take months or even years to fully make that decision happen. And this is where every day you're like inch by inch, trying to hold on to your old identity, trying to stay close to the way that you've done things because it feels safe and it feels comfortable. And this is where life can exist a lot of struggle and can exist a lot of stress. Changing your identity doesn't have to be stressful. The same thing like changing the habits and the routines around your life. But the thing is when you've made that decision and you say, hey, this old version of me no longer works. The way I'm showing up, the way I'm living my life is no longer okay with me.
Yeah.
The question becomes, how long does it take you to then become and create a new identity? Is it taking you a week? Is it taking you a month? Is it taking you years? And it's not really a straightforward answer. The answer is it's going to take as long as it takes. Where you are finally going to transform the moment you declare, I'm committed to this. And that's where the active decision comes into play. Deciding something is you're taking the side away, so there's only one option. You know, there's a great saying like when you don't burn your bridges. In this case, you want to burn the bridge. You don't want there to be the other option. You don't always want to be looking back and saying, hey, can I still take this other option? When it comes to changing your identity, you're going to take what works. You're going to keep what you like and what you love, and you're going to then basically burn the bridge of the way you're acting in the past so you can continue to move forward in the future. But here's the thing, we don't like burning bridges because we think, well, what if? And that's the number one identity killer. What if? What if I put in all this work and nothing changes? What if I do this and then I don't see the result that I was expecting for? What if I change my identity and then all of a sudden I don't like who I've become? Because it's been a year and change, and then at the end, am I going to like that person? The moment we say what if, we are assuming that going back into the past is possible. And it's not. We can't go back into the past. We can't turn back time, just like we can't make decisions again. We make decisions right by making adjustments. So in the case of changing the identity, what's worked a lot for Lorna and I is when we make the decision, we go into changing that, into implementing that right away. We don't want to spend 3 months or 3 years deciding that. And that's why we start looking towards mentorship. Who is the person that can help me make these decisions faster? Who is the person that can help me change and create this identity? So when we're creating this thing, it is going to be something that I like and that I love in a year's time or 3 years' time. And we release the time frame of the expectations of the time because we know it's going to take the length of time that it takes for me to be happy and satisfied. Just like when you live in a house, you don't just like put up 2 pictures and you're like, yep, that's it. The house is done. I'm going to live like this for 35 years.
Unless you're me and you live in, you like everything plain.
Yeah, well, I don't let that happen, right? Like We put up slat walls, we put up tile, we change fixtures, we do little things, we renovate offices, and we do that to continuously better and improve our lives.
Yeah.
And that's how identity works. You're supposed to be bettering and improving yourself, not because if you don't, there's a problem, but because you want to continue to improve so your life stays full and stays exciting.
I think also something that prevents people from change is people often think that that version of themselves is like very, very, very far away.
Hmm.
And when you think any goal, any version of you is like so far in the distance, it is so demotivating, right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna have to make all these changes. And then you start comparing yourself to other people. How come this person can just have what she wants? Or how can this person be so successful? How can this person have the best relationship or the body or the health? And it seems like just so effortless. But then I have to be putting in all this work. I have to constantly reframe my thoughts. I have to constantly be more mindful of my behaviors. Like it's so exhausting. But the version of you, like the greatest version of yourself, some people call it higher self. I call it the badass version of yourself. That version of you is always within you. But it feels like there's a disconnect between who you are deep down and who you're being because you're seeing it as very far away. You're holding on to identities that maybe other people have given you. Maybe you've had, like a teacher that's told you that you're lazy, or an older partner that told you that you're too emotional or you're this perfectionist. And what ends up happening is you hold on to that identity and then you see yourself that way. And now you think there's something in the way between who I am and who I want to be. Oh, because I'm this perfectionist. Oh, but I doubt myself all the time. Oh, but I overthink all the time. Oh, I second guess myself. All that does is that pushes you further away from feeling like I can be that person. You are that person now, but it feels like there's a disconnect because of all of the noise that's in your mind. You're holding on to identities that aren't even yours. And I think that's
The feeling of far, even the word far is just as much of a trap as the word soon. Like
yeah.
when people use far and they use soon, how far is far? Because to someone who can't walk with their legs well, a kilometer might be far. But to a person who has a car, is a kilometer far? No. So the like you can and this is like it's more of a spiritual form, but you can transport your energy and you can transport the way of thinking. You can put yourself into a feeling right here right now. It's instantaneous.
Yep.
So it's the same thing like the feeling of soon. Oh, I want the results soon. Well, how soon is soon? Because when you look at some places in your life that have maybe take 4 years or 5 years, you look at that and you're like, wow, that was really a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So is soon 7 days? Is soon 10 years? Is soon 20 years? And again, it all depends on what you're working on, what your experience is through the process. And this is where changing the identity, you have to have a positive energy behind that experience. I'll tell you something, when I'm having fun and when I'm doing something that fills my cup, when I'm spending time with my community and my family, when I'm building relationships, the time flies.
Yeah.
And it's the same time. It's not far away or it's not soon. It just is. You can spend a full day with family and it hits 7 o'clock and you go, where did the time go? And then you can spend, a full day doing your taxes and you'll feel it every minute.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when it comes to changing your identity. It is how are you approaching it? Are you approaching it from a state of lack? I need it. I'm desperately trying to get here. I have to change this. Or are you approaching the energy where it's like, I'm going to have fun through this process. I'm always going to continue to grow and improve. That's where it starts to feel like it's taking less time and feel like it's coming quickly.
And it's all perspective, right? Like, if you were to say to yourself that shifting your identity is going to take a year, you'd be like, holy crap, like that's such a long time. right? Like that is such a long time. But if you blink and you look back at the past year, you're like, where did the days go? So when you're always thinking about like how long something is going to take you, it always feels more challenging because it's not the length of time, it's the work that's involved, right? It's the work that you have to put in that you're like, "Oh, this is going to take a long time," but it's not necessarily a long time. It's a little bit of effort, but the same length of time, a full year, you can look back and be like, I literally just blinked and it went by so fast. So that's also like perspective too,
Mm-hmm.
right? And again, if you can flip the switch from, oh my God, this is going to take me such a long time, and you're thinking about the future, like one full year ahead, oh my God, that's such a long time. And instead be like, wait, like last year flew by. Imagine if I actually like committed to being the greatest version of myself for a full year. Like it's literally no time at all. And then I get to be proud of how I'm showing up every single day. You know, I was at the yoga studio one day and somebody came up to me and was like, you're so fit. Like, what workouts do you do? Like, how do you eat? I wasn't even thinking about my workouts or what I was eating. What I thought about was who I was being, how I was showing up every single day. I show up like the person that I want to be proud of. And that reflects outwardly. People can feel it, right? In your energy, in your charisma, your confidence, right? And so I just show up as the person that I want to be every single day. And then how you eat, how you move your body, how you speak to your partner is all filtered through that lens. And so if you even want to just become more magnetic, right? Like you want your partner to be more attracted to you. You want people to be magnetized by you. You want to be the most confident version of yourself. It's not how do I eat? How do I work out? What time do I go to bed? It's who do I want to be? And then your behaviors will automatically shift themselves.
Oh my goodness, you so talkative today.
Because he wants to be part of the
Yeah, I know. But he's
conversation.
not allowed to be a part of the conversation. You're too young to be a part of the conversation. I just want you to have identity of baby. That's it. um, there, there's a question that I think we should really break down through this, right? Which is like, um, from the identity perspective. So, like, how can I tell if my identity is not my own, right?
Hmm.
Because sometimes we operate in a state of subconsciousness
Yep.
where we're doing things and we don't even realize that our identity is not our own, right? We're making decisions from someone else's things. And this is where, I want to share with you guys a couple of different things. The first is like the way we make choices and decisions in our life. So
Hmm.
if we're making a choice and we're doing it thinking about how others are going to perceive us, or what would someone else do, that's not a decision that we're making from our own identity. That's a decision that we're making from someone else's identity, their expectations of us, the way they perceive us. Whenever we're supposed to make changes to ourselves, it is for us. It's not for someone else. And it'll benefit others for sure, but if you're making decisions and you're using the outcomes or the expectations of others, that's one way you know that you're not operating from your own identity.
Hmm.
The second thing is if you're making decisions and when you make the choice, you still feel uncomfortable or unsettled about the choice. Like you've made it, but you haven't fully decided. That's not fear. Fear is different. You can make the choice and say, I'm scared shitless, but I'm going through with this.
Yeah.
The uncomfortability comes from an uncertainty of, I don't know if I really trust myself yet. And that is another way where you can tell that your identity is not your own. Because we were all born with 100% trust in ourselves. There was no reason for us to doubt anything that we did. And some reason or somehow other people, expectations, communicated standards, doubt crept into our life.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be areas where you go to build your identity where maybe you're going to have more doubt in certain places than others. Where maybe when it comes around your relationships, you're like, oh man, I'm so certain with that. But then it's like, oh, but the way I handle food, or the way I handle my health, I don't
Yeah.
really have a lot of trust in myself. And so what ends up happening is you start then reverting to what would someone else do? How does this person handle it? How should I be doing this?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, now we're using the identity of someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, our identity or living through our identity is living through a lens that is ours, a lens that we've created. So,
Mm.
this is where how do you want your dream life to look? How
Yeah.
do you want to be operating day to day? How do you want to be showing up the thoughts, the words, the embodiment? What does that look like for you? Is it happiness? Well, what would it be like to look through a state of everything through a lens of happiness? Is it fulfillment? What would it be like to live a life where everything you do has purpose? Even something as simple as drinking a good cup of coffee. If you start looking through your life through those lenses, then you're going to find that it's going to feel like when you're making decisions, there's going to be a level of certainty behind it.
Mm.
So you don't need to have full evidence. No, evidence will be created along the way, but it's important to recognize when you're making choices like, oh, am I making a choice from myself or am I making a choice from something else?
I think people don't really talk about the sadness that you feel letting an old identity go.
Hmm.
What do they say? Like an identity crisis or something? I feel like I felt this in,
It should be an identity celebration, really.
yeah, because I felt this in, I think it was 2023. I don't know if you remember, we were trying to plan my birthday, um, and like what we wanted to do for my birthday. And you were like, oh, like we should do this, we should go glamping, we could do all these things. And I wasn't even like happy. I like felt like this weird, sad feeling like we just moved. It's been like a year since we recently moved. There was change in our lives. We moved away from family.
Mm.
And I almost felt like this sadness because it was like I knew that I was becoming even greater. Like I was stepping into new levels of myself. And although it's like so exciting, it also feels like it's like a death of the old version of yourself. And although it's so exciting, there also needs to be conversations around how sad it could be to let that part of you go. But
Mm.
it feels sad, but it's actually what you want. And only feels sad because, it's scary, it's change, it's again, who am I going to be without these old ways of thinking? And also, what are people going to say? What are people going to think if I'm this new person? I often talk to my clients and stuff about when you start being confident, they're like, I really want that. I just really want to be confident. I want to be this unstoppable badass. Like, I want to have more confidence. But I don't want people to think I'm like showing off. Like, I don't want people to think I'm better than them. And so sometimes it's this sad feeling of like, am I leaving people behind? Am I thinking that I'm going to be like better than somebody else? Are people going to think that I'm like showing off, right? So a lot of the times people dim their light because I don't want to shine too bright. I'm leaving these people behind, or I don't want them to feel a certain way, right? When you are growing, when you're evolving, when you're becoming more confident, you're becoming healthier, you might look at other people who don't have those things and want to try to dim yourself down because what if these people can't relate to me? What if they think I'm too much? What if they think like, okay, like wow, like you've changed, like we can't relate on the level anymore. Like even think about if you had a friend And maybe you guys like always went out together and you drank together and you partied together. When you all of a sudden were like, I'm no longer doing that. I'm going to be in bed at a certain time. I'm going to wake up at a certain time. I'm taking care of myself. You want that, but you also might feel sad because like you're leaving that part of you behind. And like, what is this friend? Like we can't do that anymore. So there also is like this sadness, like what are people gonna think, and you remember all the times that you used to be that way, but it's not a it's not a sadness, it's not like a death, it's like you just being more of who you really are deep down.
Well, it's interesting because when you call it a death, I mean, it is a death. It's a death
Yeah,
of it's a death of a part of you. Like it's not you're not dying, but it is
a part
a
of you
yeah,
is,
a part of you is
yeah.
falling away and it's sloughing off. Um, this whole aspect of the sadness, though, you can choose at any time for a funeral to be awake. Like if you've ever been to a funeral where you go, oh, and like this is classic. I'll share with you guys, and maybe for some of you watching, you're gonna be like, oh, this is what you think of funerals. I think funerals are the most morbid thing in the entire world because everyone goes and they all dress black, and it's like this sad affair, and people just circle around and they cry, and I don't really think that's a proper memory of somebody. And I know European funerals all do that where it's like it's always death, doom and gloom, sadness. And yet I've been to funerals where it is a celebration. It's a celebration of life. It's a recognition of like, look at how far this person went. Look at the life that they got to live. And remember, the reason why we get upset about losing an identity, it's not that the identity was bad. The old identity that you had took you as far as you did to get you the life you have now. But the life that you want to have in the future is where then the identity has to start being different. So, like when you go to school and you have the identity of being a student and you get the degree and now you're working full time, you now have to change your identity. You're no longer the student. You're no
Mm-hmm.
longer that person that's there. And yes, that can feel sad, but the reality is that identity can only get you so far. This is why we have to change. So we can be upset. Oh man, it sucks. Now I'm no longer going to school and now I have to go to work every day. Sure, there is a little bit of a sadness there, but then there can also be a celebration. Look, now that I'm going
Yeah.
and becoming a worker and I have a new identity, look at now the way that I get to live life. Look at all the things that I get to experience outside of that. But that's the thing. The sadness is about my identity took me this far, and I need to recognize that, and I'm grateful. Then turn that into a celebration because now look at what's possible through me through this new identity.
I think people have a hard time shifting identities because of comments that other people make. So if let's say like you're late all the time, right? And then all of a sudden you don't like that about yourself. And so you shift and now you're like early to everything. Of course, people are going to be like, wow, like you're early now. Like that's a change. Or they'll make like a snarky comment and you have to sit with that. Or if you used to eat in a certain way and now you're eating differently, right? Like I think about, if you used to be the person that would like, track all your food and now you're not doing that, or you're allowing yourself to have a cookie or whatever it is, people are going to make comments. And that's what people have a hard time with. I don't want like all eyeballs to be on
Mm-hmm.
me. I don't want people to notice what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's almost like awkward, or like all eyeballs are going to be on me. It's like that I'm like the center of
Mm-hmm.
attention now. But again, like sell it, like see yourself as like that's a good thing. Again, if you are stepping into the person that you're meant to be, the highest version of yourself, you should be so damn proud of that version of yourself. You should want to shine. You should want the eyeballs on you and like for people to notice because you're doing something good for yourself. You're shifting, you're changing. You are proud of yourself. Maybe in the past you weren't actually proud of yourself of how you were engaging in certain behaviors. So it's like nobody look, nobody notice. right? Like hopefully nobody notices I'm late. Hopefully no one notices what I'm eating. But when you're actually really proud of yourself and how you're eating, how you're dressing, how you're showing up, all these things, like let people compliment you, let people comment, let people reflect that for you.
I would add only one thing to that, and it's let the right people. This is the importance of having a community that gets you.
Yeah.
Just like share your dreams, but you don't share your dreams with everybody because everyone has like a I don't know, you know what I mean? Like an Aunt Alexandra who's like, oh no, like that's a terrible dream. If your name's Alexandra, I'm so sorry, but like it's like everyone has that person that is not going to be supportive. Those people aren't your people. Like one of the things that Lorna and I have been very conscious of, and even one of the things you've done so amazingly, you know, in your community of ladies is like when we surround ourselves with people who get us, we give ourselves permission to change identity because we know that we're being supported. Like
Yeah,
I
you
have
feel
a men's
safe.
group of people that every time I declare something new and I share a goal, they're all for it and they're all for me. So I don't get negativity in the change of
Yeah.
identity. I don't
Yeah.
get the negativity when I'm declaring a new state for myself. So, yes, share it with the right people, and not everyone is going to be the right person. It's also like one of the reasons why like Lorna and I are always putting together events and master classes and we're bringing people together because we recognize the right community with the right energy creates the perfect space for you to change and change very quickly
Yeah.
because you know, holy crap, in this room with these people I have full 100% permission to show up as who I am. It's
Yeah.
also the reason why we did the Unstoppable Badass event
Yeah.
because, you know, we realized, you know, at least I did going through, like when you are in a room and everyone is like minded and they're all saying to themselves, hey, we want the best for you, we want the best for ourselves. The standard in the bar raises so high
Mm.
and so quickly, you have no choice but to change. And
Yeah.
here's the best part, it's not like if you don't change we'll leave you behind. It's like no, you're going to change because we're going to extend our hand and we're going to elevate you. This is where when we look at, you know, even just like a wave or a swell, when a wave of water comes up, it raises all of the boats. Some of
Mm-hmm.
the boats don't get left behind. It's not like, oh, you're not being raised. It's the same thing when it comes with a group of people. We come together and it's through that energy and through that support that we all elevate ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's about finding the right community and the right people who are going to support you through this process.
When I even went to a retreat, an event, December of 2024, just simply being around other people who have different perspectives. Like these people are all like, they value growth, they want to become better. And just even seeing how they're like talking about themselves or their goals, like, oh, it seems so far away. Like, I never heard them say any of those things. They're like, oh, I want to go and do this. And like, what do you think about this? I think it's a great idea. Like, you know, and just by even witnessing how they believe in themselves, their passion, their excitement for change and growth, like success leaves clues. So it's like, oh, the reason why they are where they are is because like they actually believe, they actually trust, they're willing to step out of their comfort zone. And just even witnessing that, it's like, wow, like the possibilities are endless, right? Like obviously if you're around people who are like, "Oh, I don't know if it's a good idea. Like I don't know, I'm too scared." You're literally going to have those same thoughts as well too. The next time you go and do something that kind of feels scary, you're also going to be like, "I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know if I can." But when you're around other people who are just like, "Let's go. Like I'm in it. I want to be the best version of myself." It's you can't help but to rise,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And hi, Gooby. Hi, Gooby. You love
Mm.
attention.
Oh, I know he's still smiling. It's so cute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, people often think, you know, being this person is so hard. It takes a lot of effort. The fastest way to change your identity and to really step into the version of yourself that you're most proud of is to be in the room with people who actually get you. And this is really why we created the Unstoppable Badass event. And we are running the second version 2.0
Yeah,
at the
I'm so
end
excited.
of the month. And of course, I'm going to be speaking. I'm the one hosting it, and Andrew is going to be there as well too. And
At the end of the month, not this month.
at the end of May.
Yeah, at the end of
Yeah,
May. There you go.
at the
Not
end
the
of
end of the month, at the end of May. It is in May. I'm
Aaron's
like,
like, I gotta change my
it's
flight.
not the end of this month. No, no. But yeah, like we realized, so the last time we did it in the States, and we realized as well too, there were so many people like in the Toronto area that, again, it's like whether you're from Toronto or not, right? Like really, like for us, it's like Lorna and I are always conscious on picking spaces that have such great energy where it's like it's for us, it's like it's people, it's the community, it's environment. So
Mm-hmm.
like location is something that's really, really important. And this time we chose Toronto, which was incredible. But the big thing is like we're keeping this very intimate. And we're
Yep.
keeping it intimate because especially when it comes to sharing goals, sharing dreams, holding yourselves accountable, it's not just about am I going to be a number in a room?
No.
It's when I go and I sit beside the person, do I know the person I'm sitting beside? And this is where, like, when Lorna and I look to, like, all of the groups that have really contributed to our lives and the groups that have made us really successful, they were never 400 or 800 person things where we were number like 126 and it, we got to hide around in the background. It was like everyone knew who each other was. We were rooting for each other. We were looking for the wins, for the celebration. And, you know, I'm so excited that we're running the Unstoppable event a second time because it's just going to continue to snowball. The more people show up for themselves, the more that they connect with others. And although it's like, well, how much can change in a weekend? The thing is not necessarily the time because it's the same thing as the word soon or far. It's like the intensity and the intention behind those days is going to make you skyrocket past a
Yeah.
lot of those barriers simply because you're with the right people in the right space at the right time.
Think about it like this. Like, I even did like my yoga certification, right? And it was condensed, I think, in like 3 months, but it was like we were there, like, you know, for hours on end, like Saturday and Sunday, we'd be there from like 8 to 5 o'clock. Like it was like condensed, but it was like you're in it, like you're in it. And so think about this experience of like, it's not about time, it's about how you show up, your willingness to be vulnerable, and how you like what requires you to change, to evolve, is feeling safe. If you don't feel safe, you're not going to change. You need to feel safe. And this is why, again, we're capping it. We're keeping it a very small, intimate event. And even if you don't even know the people that are coming, by the time by the time we end this event, you're going to get to know these people. And like, they're going to see your heart. You're going to see their heart. You're going to feel so safe to share certain things that maybe you haven't even shared with a husband or like a best friend of 30 years. Because again, these people are just like you who want to grow, they want to better themselves. And there's no better place to do that than actually committing. And also your location. If you're sick and tired of engaging in sabotaging behaviors, you got to get on a freaking plane and change your environment. Like Andrew
Yeah.
and I sometimes do this too, of like rearranging furniture in our house. We rearranged our office. Like we literally just rearranged our office, and the office feels different. Did the office change? No, it's still a little square. Like the office hasn't changed, but we changed things in the office that now makes the office feel different. And so if you want to be able to shift and change and evolve, change your environment, that will create the fastest identity shift, a pattern interrupt. You will literally fly in one person and fly home a completely different version of yourself.
Yeah. I mean, we're always really excited for it, but it's like when Lorna talks about being seen, like it's, seen, supported, uh, those are just like two of like an
Mm-hmm.
infinite amount of emotions that you're going to experience through here. And we Lorna and I get a lot of conversations with people where they're like, well, like what is like how do you explain the event? And it's so interesting because Lauren and I talk all the time. Like, to the people who get it, you're
Mhm.
going to understand what happens through the transformation, through the energy, through the state change, which is really what it is, your ability to change your state. To the people who don't, those are not going to be your people. Those are
Yeah.
going to be the people who aren't going to be there anyways, because again, it's not that they don't want to support it or be a part of it. It's that they're not in that state of the readiness to change.
Yeah.
And this is the thing too, like we do these events because we realize that people need a space to be able to connect and to actually come together with like-minded people. That's why Lorna and I do it. Like, we are always looking and realizing, like, for you to be a leader in your own life, it's not just about joining spaces. It's like, how can I also contribute to creating the space? How can I bring other people into the
Let me
room
put him
with
down.
energy just like this, so that way it is something that continues to grow. It is something that continues to develop. And, the Unstoppable Badass event is just one piece of this. So, Lorna and I are, of course, very, very excited for the process, and we're excited for all of the amazing women who are going to come through this process. And even the people who are coming, it's like, if you have a friend or you have a family member who you know should be in that room, bring them to the room. Like, that's the most important thing. A large part of leadership isn't just being a part of the community, it's helping create the community. Lorna and I always strive to be leaders in every community that we're in, not because like we're trying to like usurp the coach and like that. It's really just because we know, like, why not contribute, why not give? You have so much to gain from giving and from building, and it just makes everything that much better.
Well, it's even interesting. I think a lot of the times people are so intimidated to come to events
Hmm.
because it's like, I might not know the people, or like, am I going to be good enough? What event are you going to? Because the Unstoppable Badass event, like, everybody's welcome. And, somebody that got her ticket, she said, this isn't something where I'm like, I have to diet up beforehand and I need to like lose weight before I like meet these people, because that's not what this event is about. She's like, I'm just so excited to actually show up as myself. And where else can you experience that? Most of the times it's like, I have to change, I have to fit in. Like, am I going to be good enough? Like, am I going to be smart enough? Like, maybe there's going to be people who are better than me or more worthy than me, or they're so much further along than me. So, like, I can't be there. I can't be in the room because they're going to, like, judge me. Like, maybe I'm not good enough. Well, first of all, if you feel that way, that's even more of a reason why you need to actually come to like shift out of that mindset, because you are this freaking badass. But also, you don't have to change a single thing about yourself to be in a space. It's like you belong there. And that's why I wanted to create this safe space for you to finally feel like I'm coming home to myself. And Andrew's actually getting me a luggage.
Yeah, it was it was gonna be a surprise, but I also realized that if I made it a surprise and I like picked the wrong photos, Lauren would get a luggage with like her face on it, and she'd be like, "What is this?" So like I had to not do the surprise and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" But
Anyways, the
yeah,
luggage literally says like coming home to myself. And that's what I want you to experience at this event. I want you to actually come home to yourself, the badass person that you know that you are. I want you to stop feeling like that person is so far away. It's such a stretch. Like, oh my gosh, like I'll never get there. I'll never look like her. I'll never be like her. I'll never, act like her. And it's like, no, you are that person, but you have to see yourself that way. Like, you have to see yourself as incredible. And sometimes it's hard to see yourself that way, but if other people can reflect that back to you, that helps you see yourself that way. And so you need community. You need people to reflect that back to you. And that's exactly what's going to unfold at the Unstoppable Badass event. I always say you're going to fly there a badass because you're already a badass, but you're literally going to fly home an Unstoppable Badass. And one of the people who came last year with her daughter, um, she's like, she hasn't done any of my stuff before, and she's like, I wanted to come because the energy of being in the room in person is unlike anything else. So this is why people go to like Tony Robbins events and they'll pay like thousands of dollars to just like be in the energy because everybody needs that. It's a state change. I talk about state change all the time, right? And when you're in a new environment and he
He,
just
he's got
legs
like
up in
legs
the
up in the
air,
air.
he's like doing happy baby.
I love it. Nice.
When you're in a different environment, it's like you see yourself differently. You're like, you go home and you're like, I'm literally unstoppable. I can, that goal that I thought was so far away, it's achievable, right? That thing that I've been pushing off, let me tackle it. Like, you're no longer stopped.
Mhm.
You become unstoppable in every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your body, your self love, your confidence. And if you are currently engaging in sabotaging behaviors with food and you're still binging, you're still unhappy with the way that you look, you're doubting yourself, you're comparing yourself, you got to be in this room.
Mhm. You won't regret it. I mean, it's one of the, like, we love the experience, and it's not even a bias. Like, I love being in rooms just filled with people who are wanting to continue to grow. It's why, like, we try to put ourselves in those spaces with as many people as we can,
Yeah.
in as many different areas as we can in our life, you
Yeah.
know. And that's where, as well, too, also think of like, where can I create a community that helps me build my business? Where can I create a community that helps me build my relationships, that helps me build my health? Put yourself into as many communities as possible and let them fill your cup. Let them be the thing outside of the motivation that's going to help continue to make you grow. But I think, you know, as a nice little wrap up for this little TNT issues, I appreciate all of you who watched this thing in its entirety. The key with identity is the willingness. You have to be willing and open to step into yourself. Willingness and openness is the willingness to change, the openness to do something new, even though it might be scary or intimidating, and lean into more of that. Try to show up more authentically as yourself in as many places as possible, because the longer you can live in a state of authenticity, the less friction you are going to experience in your life. And that's exactly what you want. You want a life that feels good through the process. You want a life that you can just show up and live every day.
Mm,
And that's going to be one that feels very exciting.
yeah. There's a comment here 76 days to
Oh,
go.
exactly.
Yes. We're so
Yes. It's going to be
excited. So,
crazy.
the Unstoppable Badass event is happening at the end of May, May 30th and 31st in Toronto with a special meet and greet the night before. And yeah, we're just really excited. And you know what this event is everything that we talked about, right? It's seeing yourself as that unstoppable badass woman. It's gaining your confidence back. It's falling deeper in love with the woman that you are. No longer comparing yourself, doubting yourself, but like seeing yourself as the one. Like, I'm no longer being stopped in my life. Like, anything that I want in life, I am going after it. Because when you're freaking 90 years old, you don't want to look back at your life and be like, oh, I'm so mad at myself because I was doubting myself and comparing myself and in my head overthinking. You want to be like, I did this and I did this and I had the best relationships and I was so present with my children and I felt amazing in my own skin. I didn't, have that dress in my closet and just like stare at it, like hoping one day I'd be able to put it on and feel amazing, but that actually is your reality. So we're really excited, and be sure to message us ticket because if you want to be able to get in, we are looking to, close numbers, and obviously we need to figure out like, numbers for foods and everything like that. So message us ticket or message me ticket for details, and we're really, really, really excited.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Tea and Teachings, and we also have the schedule for Tea and Teachings that's going to be up as well too. So we'll make sure we continue to post that. And Tea and Teachings is going to be a series that we're going to keep going through. So every single week, make sure you join us live. Sometimes it's during the week, occasionally it's on the weekend, but you get occasional guest visits from Gooby, who is now playing with his feet. But other than that, you will get to hop on and chat with us. So,
All right. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
catch you later.
Bye.